I never thought of this before until she put it in her book and I read it. Hey guys, it's Maggie Rose. Welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new. Today we are actually going to be going through Allie Beth Stuckey's book, You're Not Enough and That's Okay. I am not a book person, so this is very weird for me to be doing a review for you. I wouldn't say that I don't enjoy reading books, but I've never thought of myself as a book person. I often quit books. I am very particular about my books that I read, and 2020, I did not finish a single book. I started a couple. Didn't finish a single one of them, but I read this book in about 3 weeks. That just goes to show that this book is awesome because I read it in 3 weeks and I don't read books. But on a more serious note, I do think that this is a very good book because it addresses things that are very prevalent right now in our culture, and it just talks about things that people don't have the guts to talk about. But Allie Beth, she has the guts and the knowledge to talk about these things, and she told me some hard truths in this book that I really need to evaluate in my own life. So we're going to go through chapter by chapter, because if I tried to do a review over the whole book in one video, it would be entirely too long. It also might be a good idea if you guys get this book and read it with me. Every 2 weeks we're going to be doing an episode of this, so there'll be other YouTube videos in between these videos. I'm going to be doing this every 2 weeks so that you guys have time to read the next chapter before I go over it. So I have linked in the description box a couple of different places where you can buy her book. If you don't have it right now, that's fine. You can listen to the introduction and then read it whenever you get your book. And 2 weeks from now, the next video will go up of the next chapter review. I think it would be a good idea if you would read it with me so we can kind of have like a little live discussion going in the comments. But a brief synopsis, if you will, of the entire book. She just goes through and talks about the toxic culture of self-love. She talks about God's truth versus our truth, entitlement and our self-fulfillment, and loving ourselves before other people. So there's just so many things in this book. So that is why we are going to start small and start with the introduction. Also, let it be known that I never read introductions to books. There has been maybe once or twice where I started to read an introduction to a book and I'm like, this is pointless. I'm just gonna go to chapter 1. Why would I read this? It's so dumb. But this book, I started to read the introduction and I couldn't stop reading it. I am not going to be going through word for word or every little thing that I have found to be helpful in the book. First of all, because there's way too many thoughts that I have in this book to go through every single one of them with you. But secondly, I don't want to tell you all the good things in the book because I want you to read it and I want you to support Allie and buy her book. It's just a great book, and I think that you can also find things that didn't speak to me that would speak to you that I'm probably not going to talk about in these videos. So that's another reason that I think that you should pick up the book for yourself instead of just listening to my take on the book, because you could have an entirely different take. So let's go ahead and just jump right into it. Let's start this thing. I'm gonna go ahead and start with the first thing that stood out to me in the book, and that is page 4. I'm going to read page 4 for you because this is the most profound page of the entire book in my opinion. Hold on, let me drink a little bit of my coffee so my voice doesn't sound terrible. Okay. In the introduction, she starts out by talking about how you get impacted by the world around you, and culture today is telling you to do things and be things, and we just get shaped by the world around us. So page 4 says, we don't have enough time or energy to be all that we need to be for the world around us. And when we don't measure up to our or other standards, we drown in the dredges of self-loathing and insecurity. To numb the pain, we open Instagram, scroll for a few minutes, then click on our favorite self-help blogger and check her latest post, which reads, "You are enough." Ah, balm for the weary heart. We're flooded with warm feelings of gratitude as we read her caption reminding us that we're strong, powerful, capable women whose dreams matter and whose stretch marks are beautiful, and who are so much more than just moms to needy kids and wives to needy husbands, and are perfect and wonderful just the way we are. So true, we think to ourselves. I am guilty. We're comforted, but only for a moment. The next second, we look at the monitor to see our supposed-to-be sleeping toddler wiggling just minutes after we put them down, or remember that we are about 15 pages left on the assignment due tomorrow, or look in the mirror and hate the body we see. Our feelings of self-assurance quickly fade. Many of us find ourselves in this cycle today, feeling burned out, seeking encouragement from superficial sources, then feeling better only to feel worse a few hours later. This is exactly the consequence of getting sucked into what I call the toxic culture of self-love. So good. That's exactly what I did for the past year. I feel like I've been in a slump. I guess everybody kind of felt that way since COVID hit, but I really feel that I had some sort of postpartum depression still lingering, or 2020 blues, whatever you want to call it. I just wasn't myself, and I would scroll through Instagram and I would scroll for posts that would tell me that I am not just a mom, I am this, or I'm a woman, I'm powerful, I'm strong, I'm not a wife, I'm not a mom, but I am a wife and I am a mom. And I should be happy about those things. But I wasn't really happy about those things. I was looking for validation from random strangers on the internet. Allie just hit it home when she says balm for the weary heart, because that is exactly what it felt like. Let's continue because it just gets better from here. She goes on to say how people have been studying self-esteem and self-love for a while now, so it's not something new. If self-love isn't a new phenomenon, if we've been taught for decades that our lives will be made better just by loving ourselves more and feeling confident, why hasn't it caught on? Why aren't we all happier? And then it skipped to when she says, we've spent our lives prioritizing ourselves, our wants, and our happiness, and guess what? We're still not happy. I just found that eye-opening because I never thought about that before. It makes sense, but I just never thought about it. Next thing I found interesting, she says, maybe we're unfulfilled, lonely, and purposeless because we love ourselves way too much. Yes, many of us struggle with insecurities and even self-loathing, but these are just other indicators of self-obsession. Even when we don't like ourselves, our perpetual prioritization of our wants, needs, problems, and dreams above all else proves that we still love ourselves a whole lot. I never thought of this before until she put it in her book and I read it. And actually, Hunter and I were talking about that the other day whenever I was seriously talking to him about maybe going to see a counselor, which I will be meeting with a mentor just because I think it's good for your mental health to meet with somebody. But we were talking about that and he was trying to help me. You know how you hear something from your husband and it's just not the same as if you were to hear it from a friend? He was talking about himself. He said that he thinks of himself too much and that is what gets him sad sometimes. And he thought that maybe I was doing the same thing. So I just kind of blew him off and I was upset with him for suggesting that I needed to focus on myself less. I just didn't believe him until I read this portion of this book and then it clicked into my head. I'm like, oh. And so I actually read this quote to my husband and then he goes, didn't I tell you that? Seriously? Oh my word. Get out of here. I just had to hear it from somebody else instead of just my husband for it to click, which is kind of sad. I need to listen to my husband more, I guess. But yeah, so I had never thought of that before. A self-obsession with us not feeling happy and being upset with ourselves as a form of loving ourselves. Just never crossed my mind, and it was really eye-opening for me. And the next thing I found was on the next page. I swear there's like something on each page. But she says, our sufficiency isn't the answer to insecurity, and self-love isn't the antidote to our feelings of self-loathing. Why? Because the self can't be both the problem and the solution. Just makes sense. If you're upset with yourself, why would you think bettering yourself would help? Because yourself is it just doesn't make sense. All right, the next thing I found was on page 10, the next page, and she says, the solution to our problems and pain aren't found in self-love, but in God's love. And His love compels us to do something much better than self-obsession, self-sacrifice. God's love frees and empowers us to consider and serve other people before and instead of ourselves. I almost completely forgot about that. I almost forgot that we are supposed to be the hands and feet of Christ and to be there for the people who need help. And you just forget about those things when all you see on Instagram and Facebook is just, here, put yourself first. Make yourself better. These are all the things that you need to do to fill yourself up. You are so important and you need this time for yourself and you deserve this and you need this and treat yourself. Like, that really puts it into perspective that we have forgotten to think about other people and treat others well before we treat ourselves well. Like, it just doesn't, it makes me kind of sad that I forgot to consider other people not only before myself, but like she said, instead of myself. Okay, had to go get Malachi. He's playing behind the couch, so if you hear something, that's what it is. Where was I? I just feel like I have become more of a selfish person over the past couple of years. Even after having kids, I know that a lot of people become less selfish after having kids. I feel like I've gone the opposite way. After becoming a mom and hearing those messages that I am enough and that I deserve all of the girl time that I need and want, and that I deserve happiness over anything else, I definitely feel like that has affected me and made me more of a selfish person. I still feel like I am very selfish at times, and I know that that's something that I still need to work on, but this book has definitely helped me see that. Next thing was, this one is kind of funny. I kind of laughed at this, but it's true, and I've done this, so I just think it's funny. She says, the culture of self-love is exhausting, but if we're really enough as is, we wouldn't have to try so hard to convince ourselves it's true. No amount of yoga or sage burning or energy shifts or personality tests or essential oils or closet organizing or food prepping or booty exercises or whatever else the self-love stars say you need to finally, truly be happy with yourself will ever convince you that you're enough. Because you're not. Neither am I, and that's okay. That was funny to me because I feel like I've tried all of those things to make myself happy. Especially like the organizing, even minimalism. I cannot speak today. Even the minimalism stuff. I started that to be happier. Honest to God, I started that to make myself happier. I mean, it is simplifying my life, but I feel that in simplifying my life, I have found that taking away stuff isn't necessarily making me more happy. It's making my mind and my house less cluttered. But the thing that's making me more happy is reading books like this that point me to God and delving in, is that the right word? And reading more of scripture and the Bible. Like, that's what's making me more happy, but it is hard to realize that sometimes. We are almost done, but the last thing in the introduction that I want to talk about is her chapters don't say chapter 1, it's myth 1, myth 2, and I just wanted to read them to you so you know what's coming. And the first one is, you are enough. Second one, you determine your truth. Number 3, you are perfect just the way you are. Number 4, you're entitled to your dreams. Number 5, you can't love others until you love yourself. There's a lot of good stuff coming, let's just say that. I am very excited to be going through this book with you, and I hope that you're excited too. I definitely did not go over even all of the introduction to this book because there's just so much that I found in there. So if you are reading this book along with me, or if you have already read this book, I encourage you, reread the introduction and leave in the comments below what you found to be your favorite part or what stood out to you in the introduction or what you learned. Just start a conversation in the comments. I want to see you guys talking back and forth, ask me questions. I just want to get the conversation flowing on this book, and I will see you guys back in 2 weeks for the next episode, if you will, about chapter 1 or myth 1, you are enough. But stay tuned. The next video that's actually going to be going up on my channel is the 30-day minimalist challenge, where you get rid of about 500 items from your home in an entire month. And this is after we completely decluttered our entire house. So that video is going to be going up soon. I will catch you guys for that one, and I'll see you in a couple weeks for the next Allie Beth Stuckey book review, chapter review thing. So yeah, words. So thank you guys for watching. Keep smiling, keep finding the joy, and I'll catch you in the next one. Thanks guys, bye! Whoa, what am I doing? I've been recording for 6 minutes and I can't even record an intro. Hey, that's my coffee. You stinker. No, you can't have my coffee. Oh, stop it. I'm like holding on to my ring light and trying. Just wait too. I thought he was gonna sleep longer than this.